All right, welcome to this episode of the Joyful Scaling Podcast. I am here with one of my clients, Kelly Buckley. She is a women's transformation coach, and she's the creator and host of the Beautifully Confident podcast. She's got a TV show on Phoenix TV, and she's a dynamic professional with years of experience in coaching and consulting. Her coaching practice is really about being beautifully confident and helping her clients break through wherever they are to get to better. That's the best way I could describe it. So let's welcome Kelly to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Judy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Kelly. And why don't we start with, you have such a rich background professionally and experientially. So I'd love you to start with that, just giving the ladies a bird's eye view of what has brought you to this place as this powerful transformational coach for women.
Sure. Well, my theme of life has been helping women with their beauty and confidence. So I started my career working on beauty from the outside in. So I owned a salon for 27 years, as well as I've been in a network marketing company dealing with skincare and makeup for over 22 years. And what I started to see while working with women on their beauty was that so often times women would still look in the mirror and say, yeah, that's good, but it'll never look like that again. Or turn away from the mirror or turn the mirror away from them. And it just, over the years, I started to realize, oh gosh, like that's an inside thing. They need to have more of that confidence about themselves so that they can truly start to see you are beautiful. And Judy, I tell you, I have had some absolutely gorgeous women look at themselves and say, oh, but you see this? And point something very negative out. And I think, oh my goodness, you are obviously not seeing with your own eyes your true and honest beauty. So just having had all of that experience, and yes, I loved doing hair, but there was a point that I thought, this is not good for my body anymore. And I started to develop even more of a passion to want to help women develop their own confidence and be able to take those steps that I did also to pivot to something else that would be more fulfilling and know that it's okay to do that.
Yeah, I love your story. And I really love the whole beauty. You knew it was inside and outside, but your career path was outside in, and then seeing, I mean, I totally know what you're saying, because, and it's kind of like what I always talk about with you guys inside the accelerator and in the mastermind. It's like, it's not about who you are, it's who you believe yourself to be. So if someone is beautiful on the outside, let's just say for a moment, but they look in the mirror and all they see is the pimple there or the wrinkle there or the whatever, wow, she's looking at the wrong place and she's totally missing like where the beauty really is. So your work is so important. Oh my goodness, this is so good. So can we just talk for a moment about who you work with specifically?
I work with professional women who on the outside look like everything is fabulous. And on the inside, they are feeling like, is this it? Is this it for me? And they're getting up, getting ready, going into a job, or even if it might be their own business, and doing everything their tasks throughout the day, going home feeling exhausted because they're mentally tired. And again, still thinking, is this it? And then, what steps can they take to move past that feeling? So kind of that middle-aged woman who is usually the time that they start to question, is this it? And then start working towards those next steps in life.
That's so cool. It sounds almost like a midlife funk.
Yes.
It's like, wait a minute, I have all these accolades and I could, the world will say, oh, she's so successful. Look where she's at. She's achieved this level of success and she's not feeling great about it. And I hope it's okay. I'd love to dive in a little bit deeper. Is it that she thought she'd be further along in her career? Is it that her like relational situation is not ideal? Like kind of, can you give us a little bit more of a bird's eye view? Because I know that there's some of my audience listening. This is her, and I want to make sure that she hears this.
Yes, yes. So yes, it's professionally that has a family, you know, doing all the things with the kids, going to their games, and now they're moving past that point of needing mommy around. And she's looking at, now what? Like now I'm kind of left here by myself and don't like what I'm doing during the day and nobody's looking for me at night. What is the next step?
Ooh, wow. Wow. I can so relate to that. Okay. So how do you help your clients get from that funk, as I described it, to, breakthrough, maybe a pivot just to that next level?
I have a 12-week program, which is we do Zoom calls with the group once a week, and then they can book a call with me also once a week, because what I have found over time is these circumstances for women are so personal that a lot of times they need to bounce them off of somebody else. So we identify what brought them to the point that they are in life now. How did you get there? And because in some cases, it's that they were spoken into. Oh my goodness, you'd be such a great nurse. You'd be so great at this or that. And that's the path they took. And then, I've lived in it for 10, 15, 20 years to say, I don't love this and can't quite identify that. So identifying that first and then taking them to those next steps of, okay, well, what do you need to move past that? And what does bring you joy? Is there a theme in your life that brings you joy that we could turn into a different career, a different profession? And what needs to be tweaked in life? Is it your time management? Is it your self-care habits? And they encompass so much. Self-care is not just getting your nails done.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
This is so good. Okay. So I love that. Identify how you got there. And I smile because my older sister, everybody told her that you're such a great helper and you're so smart. So why don't you be a nurse? And she got her RN. She's super smart. And then she got beat up, quote unquote, by the doctors. This is like in the 80s where they were just so mean. She's like, no way. I don't care how much they pay me. This ain't worth it. So, but I see what you're saying there. Have you found in your work, Kelly, that sometimes women have a hard time when you say, what do you want? That they have a hard time even articulating that?
Oh my goodness. And in my second business, yes, because it is something I talk to women about. Well, what I know, and I know this is kind of a cliche question. Where do you see yourself in a year? And I think so many women can't even see that because they have had so much spoken into them from so many other people, our parents, our husbands, our kids. How many women let their kids dictate their whole life? And, if it's a choice, it's a choice. But, take some time to get quiet and think about what truly brings you joy. And yes, for a lot of people, it's going to be spending time with my family, but there has to be something outside of that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just writing down this note and I hope you don't mind if we go here, but this is something that I recently discovered about myself. And if somebody would have told me this, I would have said they're nuts. There's an element like women, we tend to be self-deprecating. Like if somebody says, oh, you look so great today. Oh, I just had a good hair day. Or wow, what a beautiful dress. And you're like, oh, this thing, I got it on the sale rack at TJ Maxx or something. So there's an element of that, I think, in all of us, because women tend to be so others focused. But what I discovered about myself is that there are parts of me that I hate. And these days it's the way I look because I've allowed myself to, Judy is skinny, but these days Judy ain't skinny. Okay. And I can blame it on being of a certain age, but part of it also is that Judy has not been taking care of herself and exercising. But I'm just curious, like, and I want the ladies here to really hear this. There are parts of me that I hate. And when you were saying because of people speak into you, I know that there is a part of it where the men in my life, not my children, who are the best 3 people in the whole world to me, but men relationally over the years that have spoken ugly things to me. And I see now how I internalize that. And so I'm wondering if anybody listening like may not have thought of that. I want you to think about that, go to God with that. And Kelly, I'm curious if in your work you go that deep or if you've discovered that as something maybe holding women back.
Yes, actually, we do go that deep, which is what the personal calls are for, because I have found that everyone has a different story. And a lot of the stories are similar, but there still are personal stories of what did you hear? And it can be around so many different things. You know, what did you hear growing up? And it may be, you know, in a relationship. I don't know, like something I've heard a lot of women say, and I haven't personally had this, but that they've had some men in their life say, oh, do you need that second piece of, you know, chicken or whatever? You know, and we internalize that to, oh, I'm fat. And, you know, and what do you take forward then that you bring out into the world of, you know, hiding behind the negativity you feel about yourself?
Yeah, because I know that now that I'm exploring that, and I totally think coaching for me personally is a better way to go than therapy. I've been in therapy just a little bit, marriage therapy, and I felt like it was not helpful. It wasn't addressing something head on, you know? And so you know me, I'm very direct. But I just love how your emphasis is on really exploring what is in your brain that you may not even realize is there. So that's great internal stuff. All right, let's flip to time management and self-care. Self-care is something that there's so much noise out there about it. So I'm curious what self-care practices you encourage your clients to really put in place.
Yes. So I actually feel that time management and self-care go hand in hand. And it's starting with looking at what does your AM and your PM routine look like. And I'm glad that you said that about you felt like you feel like right now you're skinny, Judy, but right now you're not feeling that. So it is part of what I talk to women about self-care and time management. What is that one area that you are getting up and there's a point in your morning that you feel like you can't quite get past, and it starts that kind of negativity that you need to focus on. And actually, I will share, because this is sort of how I developed this going forward. My stopping point, and yes, I have been extremely thin my whole life until I hit mid 40s, which I did not see coming.
Me neither.
I spent up until that point trying to gain weight, you know, worked out heavy weights, and then bam. But I realized that putting that self-care practice back into motion, because I actually stopped working out because I thought this isn't even working anymore. But I realized that was a stopping point in the morning. I would be getting ready. I would be trying clothes on, thinking that looks terrible. That looks terrible. So I realized that my self-care for the next 90 days needed to focus on my health. So that's what I work with women on, is let's identify, like, what are those self-care practices that you're neglecting that you need to do to get you elevated, to move to that next step of feeling better about yourself, stepping into a career that you're happy with.
So good. So good. Okay. So that's one example of an area of self-care. I'm curious, before we get into like the career aspect of what you do, because I think that's so powerful and I really want to touch on that. But what are some other areas of self-care that you see your clients really ignoring or not paying enough attention to, that's really causing them trouble?
Yeah. So other self-care practices that I work with are taking that time to reflect on, whether it's should be daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. So reflecting, giving your time to yourself that time to reflect is part of self-care. Identifying what helps you recharge. So, because for some people, it's being around other people. For other people, it's pulling away and getting quiet. And then what are your self-care practices that you practice in the morning that you are taking out into the day that you feel great about yourself? What is your profession that you want people to say, she's an expert at that, and I can see it just by looking at her? And yes, sometimes it does mean that you need to find a different makeup routine or change your wardrobe because you want to put out, that you are an expert and show that. We get 3 seconds to make a first impression.
Right. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Okay. So the self-care, ladies, identify what self-care area do you need to focus on? Because this is not just about, for the outward look, but it really is about, when I fit better in my clothes in the coming weeks and months, I know I'm going to feel better. So I'm showing up powerfully. I mean, that's where that's my intention, but I know that I'm going to show up even more powerfully when I feel more like myself. So ladies, really take the time now to, after listening, to really identify where maybe are you falling down. And I love how you say this is all part of time management too, because you're not going to take care of yourself if you don't prioritize that you need to.
Yeah.
Right. So important.
Yeah, that's right.
So important. All right. Before we talk about what it's like working with me, I do want to just talk a little bit more about your clients are generally corporate and professional women. So help everybody understand the correlation between being beautifully confident from the inside out and how you work with the ladies and how that all comes together as it relates to success and even further success and satisfaction in their career.
Putting all of those pieces into place is, well, first identifying, if they're not happy where they are. Let's talk about what does bring you joy. How can we move you to a different career? Tweaking those self-care and time management aspects to be in that next space. And then coming up with an action plan of what do you need to move to that next level? And once all of those things are identified, women just have so much more confidence about themselves to move forward. If we're just living in this career that we don't love, not taking the time for ourselves, we're not projecting any confidence out to anyone and doing ourselves and all of the people around us a complete injustice.
Yeah, for sure. And you have an amazing free offer. So stay tuned, ladies, but I want to transition a little bit. And as I said, Kelly is a client of mine. And I would just love you to share kind of the challenges that you were experiencing before jumping into my Joyful Six Figures Accelerator and why you decided to join.
Yes. So, and I'm so happy I did. I feel like, especially as entrepreneurs, we hear so much noise all around us. You should do this, you should do that. and then you should do all of these things all together, all at the same time.
Yeah.
So what I loved is how you guide us to thinking a more simple thought and getting started with the one thing. What is the one thing that we can work on and develop and grow? Because it was a lot of noise for me of clarity of, oh, well, I should add this and I should add that. And, it was just so many things that I just couldn't wrap my head around. So I've appreciated that, as well as your faith versus fear-based thought model. And they can hear more about that from you, but it's really just a different thought process of, adding in that piece of sitting down, reflecting, is this thought true? And then just following that model to really break it down, to have a positive thought and move forward with it.
Yeah. And a faith-fueled thought, meaning, like, just for 20 seconds, I will say, if anybody hasn't heard about my faith-fueled thought model, every thought either has as its source a lie of the enemy or the truth of the Lord God Almighty. That's it. And so when we tell ourselves we're not worthy, even when we tell ourselves I don't know, I personally think that's a lie, because we have the mind of Christ. And so I appreciate, and I got to tell you, no matter what strategies I share inside of any of my containers, the faith-fueled thought model always comes up as the most impactful, not only professionally, but also personally, because we're talking about holding all thoughts captive as unto Christ. So that is so awesome. All right. So what has been your biggest win, or yay? I know you haven't been in that long. It's only been a couple of weeks, but tell me about what you've discovered and what you've learned inside.
So for me, my biggest win has honestly been the clarity of, I don't have to be in all places at all times.
Yeah.
Adding all of these different aspects to my program. My program itself is awesome. And I can focus on just the 12-week program and not be thinking I have to add all of these things to make a go of it. So having that clarity has been a big win for me.
Yeah. And I think clarity about your offer and who your best client is. You're making those decisions about the offer in a powerful way. And so you're ready to sell it, and sell it in a way that is not like salesy. Everybody always, when you talk about, everybody always talks about, I don't want to bother people. I don't want to be salesy. Oh my goodness. Every woman within the sound of my voice absolutely could benefit from what you are doing with them in the transformational coaching that you're doing. And so through the program, that's my hope and prayer, that once you have that clarity around the offer, now it's just a joy to sell, and it doesn't feel pressured. It's because I have this amazing thing that can help you, and I want to invite you in if you're ready. So brava for all of your successes, even so far in the program. All right, so we're running out of time. Time always goes too quickly, but you have a beautifully confident strategy call that you're going to offer. Ladies, grab your paper and pen, check the show notes. Okay, tell us all about that, Kelly.
So our listeners can go to my website, which is beautifullypodcast.com, and book a strategy call with me. And as we're talking about, yes, this is everybody's program for everyone? No. So my strategy call is to work with you to identify, are you starting to feel that kind of uneasiness? And so I do a free call with you to just start to identify, where are you in life, and maybe give you a couple tips of better time management or self-care tips, and see if being in the Beautifully Confident She Elevates Now program is for you.
Awesome. Okay. And where is the best place for them? You said beautifullyconfidentpodcast.com.
Yes.
Is there anywhere else online, maybe on a social channel, that they can connect with you?
Yes, I am on Facebook and LinkedIn predominantly. And it is just my name, and it is my face. There is my social media tip. Put your face on your profile.
Amen.
So that people know they have you. So it's not my kids, it's not a sunset. It is my beautifully confident face.
There you go.
And it's just Kelly Buckley.
That's beautiful. All right, ladies, check those show notes out. You want to connect with Kelly. Kelly, thank you so much for being a beautiful friend, an amazing client, and a wonderful guest.
Thank you so much, Judy. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Ladies, listen, thank you for watching or listening wherever you are consuming this. And if you are on Apple, and you have not yet left a review and you love the show and you're one of our loyal listeners, first of all, can I say thank you so much for sharing this out and for being a loyal listener. But please, if you would, take a moment right now and leave a review. It helps us in getting this important word out, empowering Christian women to really pursue the impossible and achieve miraculous results. So thank you again for being here, and we will see you next time.